never done this Zoom call.
It's all right.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to Monday Mojo. We're here with Caleb, who's one of the finalists in the Beach Body Challenge, and he's going to share about obstacles in his life that he went through and just how it helped in his fitness journey. And so if you have any questions during while he's sharing, just feel free to chat, put them in the chat box. And then when we get time,
Sure.
we'll answer them later in the call. So over to you, Caleb.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for, first of all, having me and allowing me to do this. This is really cool, and love to get the chance to share the story anytime that we do. My name is Caleb. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Kentucky. My fitness journey started a long time ago when I was actually in high school. And as a high school student, I was big into athletics and working out. I was playing basketball, baseball, football, golf, track. Couldn't do soccer because it was at the same time as football, or I would have. And I was doing all those things, and I was just running from one thing to the other, just trying to be all things in all places. My freshman year of high school, and about midway through my freshman season of basketball, I started having pain in my left shoulder, and what started as kind of a nuisance grew into just horrible pain that was keeping me from doing what I wanted to do. And then slowly my left arm, where the pain was located, my arm started to get weaker and smaller because I wasn't using it, and it was starting to atrophy. And it got worse and worse and worse, and finally went to a doctor, and they said you may have torn your labrum, there may have been some tendon strain there, so let's give some physical therapy for a few months and let's see how it goes. And so I was doing physical therapy, and it was getting worse, and kept kind of getting worse and worse and worse. And then there was a day where I was walking downstairs in my house and slipped and fell. And when I did, I instinctively reached my left arm up and grabbed the railing. And when I did that, it pulled, and it was just the most excruciating pain I'd ever felt. And I was home alone, and I just kind of laid in the stairwell and was holding my arm for about 2.5 hours, just laying there. And so my mom came home and found me there and was like, something's not right. We have to get this checked out again. And so we took the original x-rays to a shoulder specialist, trying to find some answers to why this was hurting so bad. And he, walked in the room and this was back when they had the film, like the actual x-rays. And so he put the x-ray up on the light, and he looked at it, and he looked at my dad and said, "Can I talk to you outside?" And my dad walked back into the room a few minutes later, and he was crying. And I didn't know much, but I knew at 15 that I'd never seen that before. And I knew that something was, not right. And so the doctor kind of looked at the x-ray, and he looked at me and he said, "Caleb, this big white area here is something called osteosarcoma." He said, "This is a tumor, and it's not good." And then he kind of paused, and I was still thinking, okay. And then he said, "You have cancer." And I kind of knew what that meant. I was like, okay, that's not good. But to me, it was something that old people got. It was some, or if you got it, you cut the tumor out and you go about your way. And so that's kind of not how things went for me. What happened next was did biopsies and started chemotherapy. And when I was 15, we started chemotherapy, and I would come in on a Monday and I would take chemo for 5 days. For the whole 5 days, I would just throw up all day long, every day, all day, until there was nothing left. And then I would just kind of dry heave. And I did every week chemotherapy for about a year. In the middle of it, I'm 6 foot tall now. I was 6 foot tall when I was 15. And I got to the point where I was 6 foot tall and 117 pounds. Just emaciated, just no nutrition, just never getting out of bed, always tired. The chemotherapy kills cancer cells, but it also kills like your red blood cells, which carry oxygen, which help you get energy. It kills your white cells, which helps fight off infections. So you're just constantly exhausted and constantly, lying in bed. went from being 5-sport athlete to never getting out of bed, like literally coming into the hospital on Monday and laying there for 5 days until the chemo was done. And then somebody, helping me out of the hospital and going home and laying in bed for another week or so until I could come back and do it again. I had 4 surgeries to remove the tumor in my left shoulder, the longest of which was 9 hours long. And they removed, I guess I could show, look, so I can do so this is all now titanium prosthetic that's attached with screws to my shoulder blade, and then a rod goes down inside what was my humerus, which is this bone in your arm. And so my left arm's attached with screws. They removed the deltoid. They removed most of the pectoralis on this side. They stretched what was left of it around just to put a covering over this. All the nerves, all the blood supply up here, all the muscle is removed. And so I have no lateral movement as far as, being able to raise my arm to the side. The best way to kind of describe it is if you had your hands down to your side and someone put a belt around your waist and your arm at the elbow. So I have movement from the elbow down and good hand dexterity, but it's as if my elbow is pinned to my side as far as what I'm able to do with the left arm. And so, coming out of that and trying to figure out what I was doing next and having the doctor kind of be like, if it's confusing for a 15-year-old because you're saying, well, am I going to get to play sports again? Not realizing that the doctor's like, well, we're hoping that, you're going to live. That's our push, our goal. And so I figured that out real quick, and I kind of grew up really quickly as far as the perspective that you get from facing mortality at 15 years old, and nobody's ready for it, but you're definitely not ready at 15. And so I kind of came out of all that just completely, every ounce of energy, every ounce of emotion, every ounce of perseverance, and that the thing inside you that helps you overcome was all driving towards survival, all driving towards I'm going to make it. I'm going to beat this thing. I looked at it like that from day one of this is a battle that I'm in, and I'm going to face it as such. I'm going to face it as this is an enemy, and I'm going to overcome this. And so when I got out of that, I had, a good perspective on things at a young age, but decided that the people who had helped me do that were the people that I wanted to be like. I wanted to help kids like me. And so I switched from the goal of survival when they said, you're cured. And I said, okay, well, what's next? And what was next for me was saying, okay, well, I want to be a doctor. Okay. I want to be a pediatrician. And so I took the same kind of outlook and said, I'm going to hit everything as hard as I can, as far as studying, doing the right things, getting into schools, passing the tests. And so I pretty much gave up on myself from the physical standpoint, was really working hard on learning, but, believed someone when they told me you're never be an athlete again. And I just kind of took it at face value and said, you know what, you're right. I mean, how do you train muscles that don't exist? They're not there. They took them away. And so kind of gave up on it and said, okay, well, if I'm not going to be able to do that, I'm going to put my efforts into something else. And that was education for me. And so I've been fortunate enough through that to go to medical school, to graduate, or first to go to undergrad and pre-med, graduate, to go to medical school, graduate. And then I started my residency at the same children's hospital where I was treated, which was pretty surreal, to walk back on that floor where you did a year of chemotherapy and walk back into the same room and see a 15-year-old kid with osteosarcoma sitting in that bed and talking to that mom is something else. I mean, it is an emotional kind of blessing that I can't even describe. And so what happened was during my 3 years of residency, when I was training to be a pediatrician, I used to get pages from the hem-onc doctors, the oncology cancer doctors, and I would get pages sometimes in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the night, even when I wasn't on that service. And it'd be like, we want you to come talk to this family, or we want you to come talk to this kid who's wanting to deny treatment, or we're wanting you to come talk to this mom who just can't see a light at the end of this tunnel. And so, I mean, that was a blessing to me that was just insane. Like nobody deserves to get to do things like that. And so I was just, I mean, constantly getting a chance to share the story and to talk to people and to kind of talk about getting through it, and that there was hope and that there was, something to look forward to. But I was putting everything into that, and I was putting everything into being the best doctor I could be so that I could help these kids, and so that I could, not miss things, so that I, wasn't going to be a hindrance to them getting through. But continue just to neglect myself. It's kind of odd, but at our children's hospital, there's only one restaurant, and it's McDonald's. And so there's McDonald's in the children's hospital on the first floor. That's the only restaurant there. And so during my residency, you're working every fourth night. You work 30 hours, like all day and all night long. You can't leave. You're in charge of all the kids in the hospital. And so I just literally would eat McDonald's like 3 meals a day every fourth day, like just all day. You're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then breakfast the next morning. So it takes its toll when you're getting no sleep and doing zero exercise, and your only sustenance is McDonald's. And so I started to see changes in myself, like just getting, softer and softer, and just physically feeling run down, and just feeling like no energy, no perseverance, no stamina, just not being able to tolerate things. And at the same time that was going on, my wife was starting to get more and more into Beachbody. And of course I was giving every excuse that I could. She would say, you want to do this with me? And it was, my arm doesn't work, right? It's attached with screws. You remember that, right? She's like, yeah. And so I'm not going to do this. And then it'd be like, oh, well, this one's just, cardio or whatever. And I say, well, when I jump around a lot, this is attached with screws. And so my shoulder would start hurting really bad. Or I'd be like, I've got to be at work at 4:30 in the morning or 5. I don't have time for this. And just excuses, like lots of them. And so she just kind of persevered through it and just kind of continued to pursue me, continue to just make herself better and be proof of the product is what they talk about with Beachbody. But it's a sign to anything. If you're making yourself better, the people around you eventually are going to look at you and say, what are you doing? Because I want to be like that. And so I started to see our fitness gap widen. I started to see her become more and more of just a positive influence on everybody around her. She was happier, healthier, eating right, exercising, doing Turbo Fire and P90X and all these things. And so I got to a certain point and realized that, I was talking to some of the kids on the cancer ward, and I kind of left the room and realized that I was telling them, you can do this, you can overcome. But I had let that actually take something from me. Even though I had won the battle, I guess, with cancer, I had let it take something from me. And it was more than just the right to play basketball. It was this attitude of an overcomer, this attitude that I could do it, that I could be something more, that it wasn't, foreign to me, that it wasn't unattainable to do what I wanted to do, and that there was nothing that could stand in the way. And so I started to realize that was a much bigger problem, that it had taken that attitude out of me, that I could do it. I had just accepted, like, oh, I'm defeated. And so I decided like I was going to reclaim that for myself and just said, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to worry about what I can more. I'm going to worry about what I can do. And honestly, I could do a lot. And I'm going to do it as hard as I can go. And I'm going to give it my very best effort. And so I started there, and it was very, very sobering. It was it was an ego crusher when they sat down and said, let's do some push-ups. And he was like, if you want to do them on your knees, you can, but I'd rather you not. And I couldn't even do them on my knees. Like I was literally on my knees, like in a crawling position, just kind of like bobbing my head like down towards the floor. That's it. And then they would do pull-ups, and I was like, oh, come on, like really? I can't do a pull-up. But that thing in my head kept clicking, like, well, do the best band pull-up one arm that you can possibly do. And so I did. I looped the band around. I grabbed both handles with one hand and got as far away from the door as I could, and I just pulled as hard as I could and as fast as I could for as long as I could. And it didn't take very long for the third, fourth, fifth workout to be like, wait a second, now my elbows are going down. now I'm further away. Now I'm grabbing 2 bands. Now I'm, doing a pull-up assist and doing one-arm pull-ups. Now I'm doing one-arm push-ups. Now I'm doing, well, guess what? When they do one-arm plyo push-ups, and I started to think to myself, why not? Why can't I do that? Like, just because I don't see a video of someone else doing it doesn't mean I can't do it. So one-arm plyo push-ups happened, and then one-arm directional plyo push-ups happened, and then, your body will do what you demand of it and what you ask of it. If you just do the best of what you can do the best with what you have, it will get stronger. The workouts won't get easier, but you will get stronger. And when you get stronger, then it seems easier and it seems more fun because you're not constantly hanging your head and getting down about what you can't do. You're excited about what you can do. It's like, you grab your wife and say, watch this, watch what I'm about to do. She says, are you sure you should be doing that? I'm like, well, probably not, but it'll be fun if it works. And so, it was amazing, the transformation. And then on my 30th birthday, I completed my first round of P90X3. And I had lost 37 pounds in 90 days and had no idea what the Beachbody Challenge was at all. My wife said, here, stand here and flex. And she said, I'm taking pictures. And she took some pictures. And she said, I'm going to submit this so that you can get a free t-shirt. And I was like, oh, awesome. That sounds great. That's awesome. And literally like the next day, I got an email from one of the producers of the P90X success stories and was like, can we put you in a success story online? And can we do, all these, we want to hear more about your story. We want to do more interview and all that. And then a few weeks later, I found out that I'd won the $1,000 monthly challenge. And then shortly after that, a few months later, I submitted final pictures and was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be one of the finalists in the Beachbody Challenge. Altogether, let me get this right, $31,500, and got the chance to meet some of these people whose programs changed my life and whose podcasts changed my life, whose posts changed my life. I got to tell Tony Horton thank you, which was pretty cool. And then, meeting some of these other people that you only see on Facebook when you go to Coaches Summit is a surreal experience to connect with so many people. But I can see that time is getting, so I want to like kind of cut off and see if there's any questions or things that you guys wanted to bring up.
I know we've got a couple questions in the chat box if you want to bring them
up. All right. What changed your mindset to work out despite a busy work schedule? It was the whole no excuses thing, and it was the whole me starting to feel like all of those things were just excuses. And I purposefully decided to start my transformation during one of the busiest times of my life, because I told myself, if I can do it now, I will never have another excuse. I was working 100 hours a week, staying at the hospital 30 hours at a time. I was like, I'm never going to work this hard again. Like, if I can do it now, I'll always be able to do it. And then my wife gave me a statistic. As I was saying, I don't have time. She said she bought P90X3 for me without asking. And I said, I don't have enough time. And she said, well, 30 minutes is 2% of your day. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, good point. So she was like, you stay up and you have time to eat McDonald's. You have time to, you have time to do other things. So you can carve out some time. Even from that schedule, you can carve out some time. And she was absolutely right. I mean, there was no excuse for time. You can push play and get it done in 30 minutes. And so that was the mindset change of, I'm not going to take my own excuses or garbage, so I'm going to throw them out. Let's see. Let me see. What else we got? Great question. I said, how do you create one so that you can feel confident to do the best you can for yourself? I think for that, like, how do you do the best for yourself is getting rid of the expectation that you're going to push play on this video and you're going to look like Tony Horton, or you're going to look like Chalene Johnson, or you're going to, like, forgetting that they spent years and years getting to this point. It's not like they woke up and said, I guess I'll do plyo push-ups today. It's saying you have to be okay with whatever your best is. And if my best is literally getting in a plank position and just holding plank while everybody else does push-ups, or just doing jumping jacks like everybody does push-ups. If that's truly the best that I can do, and you really, you know, when you've done your workout, if you gave it everything or you went through the motions, I mean, you're the only one that knows. And so I felt like if I changed my mindset to, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing too. I'm going to do my best and I'm going to get results from that. And I promise you will, because your body will respond to, we need to be able to do more. So if you really put your goal as not, I'm going to do 100 pull-ups. If you put your goal as, I'm going to do the best band pull one pull-up that I can do, I'm going to go until literally I have nothing left. And you know when you've hit that point, then that's the mindset. The mindset is that you're not trying to do anything that anyone else has done. You're trying to do the best that you can do and do honestly the best that you can do. What else we got? I try to do 10 every day. You do too much. Did you ever experience depression? If so, how did you get through? Yeah. So at the time, both when I was going through the chemotherapy, everything in pediatric cancer is protocol driven. So they have what works, and it's very research driven. And so the type of chemo I was doing was such a long course and was so taxing on your body that part of the protocol was actually to put you on an antidepressant at week 8. That was in the protocol for pediatrics. And so I didn't do it. I refused it. And then got further along into it and had one of the doctors sit down with me and was like, I know you're trying to tough this out and I know you're trying to beat this, but you need help and you need this. And so I ended up doing Zoloft towards the end of the chemotherapy cycles at the request of a doctor that I really, really trusted. And sometimes that's what's needed. And it helped me a lot to kind of keep going through that. I came off of it shortly after I got chemotherapy, but afterwards, if it's talking about, so that was during treatment. Afterwards, depression was more being mindful of myself and so getting to the point of saying like, wow, I'm only barely cracking my elbows. How far have I let this go on? You know, am I ever going to be able to do this? And having to get out of my own way and say, I'm not going to let where I am dictate where I stay. I'm not going to let where I am be a reason not to pursue more. It's such backward logic to be like, well, I'm really bad out of shape, so I'm not going to work out. You know, if you want to say I'm in great shape, so I'm not going to work out, fine, you know, good for you. I mean, if you, you know, just take the day off. But it's so backward to think, oh man, I can barely do a push-up, so I'm going to give up. It's like, if anybody should be trying, it's the guy who can barely do a push-up. You should be, you know, working harder than ever. And so I try to embrace that and be like, and I still do. I even said it tonight. We got done with our workout, my wife and I was like, you know, we're supposed to do abs today. And she said, she's like, oh, I don't want to do X3 abs. And I was like, then that's exactly what we should do, because it's the thing that's the hardest for you that you're going to hate doing. And so these people that like, oh, I love the elliptical. It's like, well, that's because it's easy for you to do. And the people who are like, oh no, I don't really like that X3 program because this, that. I'm like, you don't like it because it's hard. And I say the same thing about yoga. So I was one of those people that was like, oh, I don't really like yoga and I don't think it does this and that. That was garbage. That was a complete lie. I didn't do yoga because it was too hard and I was terrible at it. And I expected to get on there and be like, you know, a yoga master doing all these poses, and I wasn't, and it's frustrating. And so you say, oh, it's not for me. I don't like it. I don't get anything out of it. It's garbage. You don't do it because it's too hard. And it's your ego. It's your ego. So get out of your own way and do yoga. It's great. I think how did you change your eating with only McDonald's in the hospital? What support system other than your wife did you have? So that's actually awesome. You know, 80% I think of getting in shape is getting on the right diet, not a diet that you can get results from, but a lifestyle to live with. So what happened was planning. And I realized that when it comes to food in this country, we are insane, like clinically insane. And we will do things that we know are terrible for us, in a moment of like weakness, or in a moment of like what I call like food insanity, where it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing else to eat, and you tell yourself, well, I deserve this McDonald's. Or you get home from a tough day at work and you tell yourself like, oh, I deserve this ice cream because I had a tough day. That's an insane thought process. But that's what we do. And so what I had to tell myself, and the way I describe it to my wife and everybody else that I do with coaching, is find that moment where you're sane. So find that Sunday night where you're like really into getting, fit. You're really into your diet program, and go buy all your groceries for the whole week and fix as many meals as you possibly can for the whole week while you're sane. And then in the moment of insanity where it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I'm starving and it's been a long day and that patient's not doing as well as I wanted, what am I going to do? You've already made the decision for yourself when you were sane. So you go to the fridge, or you go to the workroom, or you go wherever, and you grab that low-fat Greek yogurt and the fresh fruit that you cut up yesterday. And so you've already made the good decision, because I tell people that your diet is 1,000 decisions a day. It's 1,000 decisions a day. That's why the diet is much harder than the workout. The workout, you say, I'm going to work out. That's one decision, you do it. The diet is 1,000 decisions a day, and you want to make more good decisions than bad. They're not all going to be good, but you want to make more good decisions than bad. And so if you can make those good decisions ahead of time when you're sane, do it. So what that comes down to is planning is the key to changing your diet. Planning. If you go to the fridge and there's nothing in there at 9 o'clock at night on Thursday night and you're starving, you're going to order a pizza. That's what you're going to do. You're going to get in the car and you're going to go to the nearest fast food place and pick something up. If you go to the fridge and you already have a quinoa salad made and it's sitting there in front of you and it's good and it's something that you know you like, you're going to pick it up and eat that. So you're going to set yourself up for success or failure based on how you plan. What else could we say? So things like affirmations, things that like I repeat to myself. The sanity thing is a good one. I like saying that. Tony's big on do your best and forget the rest, and I love that. Like, you can do that. I like to tell people, I'm trying to get them to do these programs, I'm like, 90 days is nothing. That's what most of these programs are, 21 days. So I always say, in 21 days or in 90 days, you can look back and you can say, I'm glad I did, or I wish I had. That's going to be the option. So in 90 days, that's going to be over before you know it. If you think about what was going on 90 days ago, it's like that seems like it just in a blink. You can change your whole life in that period of time. And so I tell people, I'm like, 90 days from now, you can call me back or you can text me again and you can say, Caleb, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. And I said, I hope I get a text from you that says I'm glad I did. I hope you change your life and your whole family's life. I hope everybody, gets that stuff done. So I think that's my favorite is just being like, do your best, forget the rest, and just do it. I put hashtag no excuses on a lot of things too, but that's just because it's really more for me to remind myself, like, there's no real reason that you can make an excuse. Can you share a before and after pic? I don't know how. How do I do that?
At the bottom of your screen, you should see a button that says share screen.
Yeah.
And then that will share anything that's on your screen. And if you pull your pictures up on your desktop, then that should show.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Hold on.
Give that a little try.
So I'll pull this is the picture for our challenge group that we just did. So let me hit share screen and it'll come up. All right. Do you see that, I guess?
Not yet.
No.
I think you
How about there?
Like select desktop one.
Oh. Let's see. Oh, desktop one. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
There we go.
Oh.
Woo!
Is that showing up?
Yes, that is.
All right.
Jeez.
Let me see if I can find anything decent to show. Yeah, so that's final beach body photo. So let's see. Oh, yeah, look at this. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Wow.
Here's a note that I was saying I was working 30-hour shifts and would come home and like need to work out. And so my workout sheets sit in front of the TV. And so I came home to this from my wife that,
I can't see the new picture yet.
oh, hold on. Okay.
The covered by the other window.
Hold on. Is that showing?
Not yet. Try minimizing the other window.
Let's see. X that out. Oh, screen sharing has stopped. Oh, hold on. That's why. Screen share. There we go. Share screen. Did that work?
Hashtag no excuses.
Yeah, you got this. I love you. So she's not only my wife, but she's my coach. And so when you come home and you just want to like quit and be like, oh, I'm just going to go to bed. I've been up for 30 hours. It's like, no, 30 more minutes. I got this. I got this. And so that's kind of nice. Yeah, I was one of those. I'm seeing like some of the chat. I was one of those unsupportive spouses. So I know that having that support is amazing because she was doing it, and I was really just kind of sitting aside and being like, I don't want anything to do with that. You can do whatever you want, but I don't want to do that. And I don't know how many people on here do the Beachbody thing. But at Coaches Summit, Shalene Johnson gave a really good talk. And was talking about how when spouses are concerned or they seem like they're angry about this or they're not wanting to get involved with it, that you really have to start looking for the real motivation behind those feelings. And most of the time, the real motivation is fear. And it's fear that, like, what if they change and what if they get better and they don't think I'm good anymore? Or what if they change and I try and I fail? Or what if they get better and I don't? Or what if they're more interested in doing this than hanging out with me? It's all from a place of fear of losing that person that you love. But if you're the person that's working out and the other one's not, if you just continue to just love them and then just continue to be the example of the behavior you want them to have. So if you want them to eat right and exercise, then eat right and exercise, but also make it look appealing. Like if you eat right and exercise and you're doing nothing but complaining about the food all the time and you're doing nothing but complaining about the exercise and, oh, I don't want to do my abs, but I've got to, why would you expect them to want to join you in that if you feel like you're miserable? But if you're hitting it as hard as you can and you're eating right and you're getting healthy and you feel better and you have more energy and you're smiling all the time and you're happy about where you are and happy with yourself, that kind of stuff is contagious. And just leading by example is how eventually I came around to be like, God, she's making herself better and I need to try to catch up. Like that kind of thing. I want that too. It's really almost like fitness evangelism. It's kind of a strange thing, but it works if you're just the example of this is a better lifestyle and you should join me.
Wow. Caleb, I can't tell you how thankful I am that you came on this call tonight. It was just amazing.
I'm really thankful that you guys had me. I love meeting people that are like-minded and trying to, do this kind of stuff is always, people, I think everybody has a great story. Even a lot of people don't think they do, but they do. They have a great story, and you have a story that someone else will have too if you share it. And one of the other affirmations that I talk about is that there's something in your life that's a hindrance or there's something that's blocking your way. Stop looking at that as an obstacle and start looking at that as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Because if you overcome that or if you can make that, something of your past, then that's an opportunity for you to help someone else who's struggling with the same obstacle. And I promise they're out there, no matter what it is, whether it's, depression or deformity or, disability or whatever it is. Somebody's got your story too. They're just waiting for you to show them that it's possible. So no obstacles, just opportunities. Like that is we'll write that down too. Yeah.
Hashtag no obstacles.
Yeah. No obstacles. I'm going to quote that one. That's good. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Just amazing. Thank you. I'm just we've gone over time anyway, and I
know. I'm sorry.
Fine. And we're kind of transitioning into coach calls, but I'm just curious. Like usually, I separated, and but you've kind of like built your story up so beautifully. I'm just curious to know, just like the cherry on top. Why did you decide to become a coach then? I mean, I know you're paying it forward. I know you were helping people anyway. What made sense for you to just officially become a Beachbody coach and, be able to, make that transition?
I saw what my coach did. Now my coach is also my wife, but I saw what my coach did for me, and it was kind of like it was like deja vu with the whole pediatrician thing. Is I saw the opportunities people were given. I saw how much good you could do in that position, and so just putting yourself in a position to affect people for the better. I was doing things where my wife was coaching, and being a doctor, I do have a little bit to offer from the nutrition and the fitness standpoint of just medical knowledge. And so she would get questions in her challenge groups and stuff, and it'd be like I would step over and like type my little answer and be like, "From Caleb," so I was like, "This is silly. You should we coach together now." And so like our challenge group started today. Like we alternate posting and we run them together, and it's just much easier to get people plugged in instead of saying, I did this and you can check it out on this website or that website. It's like, no, I did this and I'll help you if you need help. And so it's been really, really cool getting people, both that have met you and have never met you to message you and be like, I need help. It's awesome.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, I hope one day we can meet your wife.
Oh, well, she's here. She might come down. I think she's making some fish upstairs right now. I think. We're gonna fire up the grill. Actually, I might be able to get her to come down. Lindsay, come down here for a second.
See, the woman that started it all.
Yeah, no, she's gonna say hello, I think. Maybe. Oh, no, she's coming yet. Oh, no.
Okay. Well.
And the dog. The dog is a workout buddy, too. She's in the middle of Hey, they wanted to say hello.
Oh, gosh. I wasn't prepared to be on video.
You're responsible for everything, so just lean down and say hello.
I guess.
Lindsay, how are you?
Lindsay.
Good.
Good. Caleb was just telling us his story. We're just so grateful for that and grateful for you. For encouraging him and coaching him and really being the start point of all of this. So thank you. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And you're super cute.
I appreciate it. Oh, thanks. After a workout, I appreciate that.
No, this is great. We were just wrapping it up, but we're so glad that we could meet you as well.
Awesome. Glad you all enjoyed it.
All right. Rock ass. Awesome.
Thanks, Caleb.
Bye.